I'm about to butcher these names, but Akwete and Adjwoa Tyehimba. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Is that right?
Yep.
Perfect.
Great job.
So, Pan-African Connection Bookstore, just read off your shirt. That's what y'all run, right? And you started that when?
We started the bookstore in 1989, my late husband and I. So we've been in business now for 32 years, and we're still moving forward. So, yeah, 1989.
So what was the vision behind it?
Well, it was my husband's vision, who he's been transitioned now 9 years. 2012, he passed away, but it was his vision to start the bookstore, and it was his vision that our people of African descent, could come together and find a place where they can learn more about their history and culture. You know, because there are a lot of myths and negative things told to us about our history and culture, where we come from, and that we have no history, and that our history started in slavery, and all of these very negative, side notes about who we are. So there's a lot of self-hatred within our community because of the myth. So we wanted a place where people could replace those negative ideas with positive ideas about who they are, so they can, feel their strength and go on to do great things like we've done in the past. So
cool. So what did it start with, just books, or did you sell like musical equipment? Because I looked on your Instagram, there's like events, there's a bunch of other things. Like, tell me kind of day one versus like what's happened during the past.
Well, we've always wanted to be a community space. Bookstores throughout the Black Power movement and civil rights movement have always been a place where people could come and organize and sit and discuss solutions to some of the challenges that we face, within this country. But so we do sell books, of course, about Black history, about, just all kinds of positive movement campaigns of how we can organize. But we also are a community space where we come together and we, do things and give information to people in our community that can help them live better lives. And we also sell African art, because we want people to see, the beauty and the dignity of our culture. So, yes.
And do you source that art from Africa?
All the way from Africa. We have art from all over the continent, east, west, north, south. So we do travel there. My husband did most of the traveling. But now I travel to the continent, to mostly West Africa, and bring things back. And we have other art dealers who also bring us things back, shop for us.
Got it. Yeah, I remember when I was in Kenya, I stopped at a place and got like a hand-carved elephant. Mm-hmm. That's common.
Yep. Kenya is a beautiful place, one of the most beautiful places you ever want to go, especially if you went into the mountain areas. It's almost like you can reach up and touch the heavens. It's so beautiful. The mountains are green. It's just one of the most beautiful places that there is, right there on the equator. So.
Yeah, there's no wonder they're so good at running. It's like 9,000 elevation. It's like, no wonder all the runners come from here. It's 100 degrees and 9,000 elevation.
The weather is perfect. I loved Kenya.
Yeah, I was in Nairobi for a tiny, tiny little bit, like 2 days, but then I spent all my time at Kisumu, which is by Lake Victoria, I believe, which is the second largest lake in the world. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed my time there. It was definitely eye-opening.
Lucky you. Lucky you. It's a beautiful place. So.
Yeah. I want to go back. I plan to take my wife after we have our first kid, just kind of do an international trip.
Africa on a whole is, it's a lot of things have been said about it, but it's one of the richest continents in the world, right? All these minerals and resources there that the whole world needs, but it is just beautiful, So it's a shame that the people are not don't share that wealth in those resources. But it is definitely the most richest continent that there is. Yeah,
it's very interesting. I know that like some parts of it are taken over by the Chinese. Isn't that correct?
China has a very heavy presence in West Africa right now. everywhere with the diamonds, the gold, oil.
China be greedy. What?
They are there, like, taking over.
But we do have to say they didn't start with the Chinese, correct? That European imperialism, European powers divided Africa up in all these little tiny countries to actually, exploit the labor and the resources. But Africa is Chinese are there now, and they're, we're just kind of still watching it plays itself out. But it is. Everybody wants a little bit of Africa.
Yeah, it's funny. Every rich person I know that's been to Africa, they're like, I've been to Cape Town. That's always I've been to Johannesburg. Those are like if you're rich and you've been to Africa, I'm like, well, probably Johannesburg or Cape Town.
I love South Africa.
Which those are very beautiful places. I have not been there.
I have not been to South Africa yet either, but it's like a little U.S., little America in Cape Town, and I mean Johannesburg and those. So,
yeah, I've heard that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember as a kid, I met somebody who was white and from Africa, and I was like, "This is possible."
They were from South Africa.
Yeah, like I'm South African, and I was like, "This is possible." I was 12. I mean, keep in mind, but I was just like, "What?"
Like on Mean Girls.
I don't watch movies, so sorry. So, tell me kind of the highs over the past 30 years of running the business, the things that came out of it that you weren't expecting.
Well, it's a very difficult business with the, it's always been very rewarding for us because, who wouldn't want to wake up every morning and have the opportunity to help change someone's thinking and help transform someone's life by kind of turning on that light that, hey, you know what? Your people have done great things in the past. So that means that you can do them too, don't believe all of that, that Africa is a dark continent. Don't believe all this negative stuff. So we have the opportunity every day to wake up and see these very beautiful, positive people come through our doors. And we have the opportunity to inspire them to learn about who they are and where they come from. Because if you don't know who you are, then you don't know where you're going, and you can easily be exploited or go down the wrong road or, just fall into the wrong camp. So it's very important. History and identity of self is the most important thing in the whole world for any people. So for me, that's the up part of it all. But with the internet coming into play, with Amazon and a lot of the internet capabilities, a lot of black bookstores went out of business in 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, and they went out of business because you can't compete with online sales, because Amazon can sometimes offer their books like half of your price, right? And who can compete with that? So that was a very difficult times because these institutions are needed for communities. These young people need to see black businesses. They need to see, especially black bookstores, right? They need to see African art and culture. They need to see this because they don't have the exposure to themselves that other people may have to themselves. There are art galleries all over the place with European art and culture. But there are not many places where you can come and see black art and culture and African art and culture. So our institutions are very important. So to see a lot of our institutions close down, and we struggled during that time, and we still struggle now, but we found ways to, sort of compensate for the internet disparity. We have a lot of community programs and activities. We do all kinds of health and wellness classes. We do chess clubs. We do a lot of children's activities to educate them about math and science and just whatever is needed. It's not just Black history because we need to be well-rounded. We need to have everything we need to compete out here in this society. So we do a lot of community program. We teach people how to grow food. We have a people's fridge outside in front of our business that gives free food away 24 hours a day to people in the community that just need help making ends meet, maybe mid-month or at the end of the month or something, just to help these families not have to struggle so much, right? So it's not just Black families, but it's Hispanic families. It's just the working poor out here who need a little help every now and then. But those are, I guess, the highs for me are seeing how we came out of COVID, right? It was just like we didn't know how we were going to come out of it. COVID, businesses were shut down, including ours, and but we still did online sales. We had to up our online game. We had to do home deliveries. We had to really, really, get creative to figure out how we were going to survive this thing. And then, the political unrest that happened around the George Floyd shootings and George Floyd killing, I should say, it really activated our community, and it activated the white community also to understand that, we really need to do more to help Black businesses. So it was our business income tripled during that time because Black people were spending money with Black people, and then we had a lot of corporations and other customers that came in and who were making sure that they wanted to do something that, help sort of dispel this disparity that was going on in this society. So
I came out completely against the support Black businesses. Mm-hmm. Let me finish my sentence on this because that could sound very bad. Let's not Pierre, make sure that doesn't get clipped. But it's because I have this idea that we should support all small businesses, mm-hmm. and that if we attach a color to it, is kind of just defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do as a society. And when I see like Chase Bank and all these like terrible corporations that are like BLM, but like do absolutely nothing, like Amazon, but it's just a way to like look socially cool, but they don't care at all. It's like, that's who we should be running from. Like, we should all just support local small businesses.
And that has always been, you would never see a support Black business sign in my window, right? Because because we serve customers. We have a 20% Hispanic base. We have European customers who come in. So we support everybody, but we are a Black business. But, that time frame, it was just that was the way to go. Like you said, that was a socially responsible thing for everybody to do, is to say support Black businesses. So that's what happened. And that hopefully it's, we have to depend on ourselves, but it has not seemed to be just a trend. It has seemed to continue. Even now, business is a lot better than it was, 2 years ago or even last year. So I think people are really trying to not make it a trend, but make it as consistent as possible. Yeah,
because I think, again, I posted that to be controversial. Mm-hmm. And it did its job. We got death threats. We got, people were very, because I was saying the same point that you're saying, which is that I wanted something sustainable and I wanted something to pick up the actual issues. I've never been a person just to like go over hype. And so like the actual issue is that people choose to buy from Nike, which just employs a bunch of people in China, instead of maybe a local shoemaker. And so that was like my whole reason behind this post, is that like we shouldn't look at things as supporting by color, because then we're just creating segregation again, and segregation is bad. But what we should do is vote with our dollar. And so a great way to vote with my dollar is to support businesses I like. At the same time, I still eat Chipotle every day because I'm surrounded by Indian restaurants and I'm not a big Indian food guy. But other than that, I do think about that stuff a lot. That is like what are we, like people are just awake, or like semi-awake, and it's like, oh, I'm going to do this because like Instagram tells me to. And it's like, well, like if you go open an account with Chase Bank to support Black lives, like you're just doing that. Like that's just marketing on their end. Is there a local bank? Is there a local black-owned bank? But more than anything, as I care about, is like a local bank. Because it's like then you can know who you're working with. And if anybody's ever had a line of credit or anything, knowing who you work with is a very big deal.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think it's just helped us develop relationships with people that we probably would have never developed relationships with. People have reached out to us who probably, had they not had this additional pressure on them to reach out to a black business, may never have done so. So it has.
What's an example of that?
Oh, well, let's see. I've had lots of corporations reach out to us to buy, like there's this book called How to Be an Anti-Racist, right? So this became one of the reading list books for a lot of corporate companies and their employees. So we've ordered lots of books for reading groups at certain companies. I mean, I've had other corporations have me do like these little anti-racist, Zoom calls with their employees. And like you say, we've had banks reach out to us to see how they could support us.
Yeah, leverage that. Get that line of credit.
But there have been so many. There's a group called Mothers Against Racism. Lake Highlands. Lake Highlands Mothers Against Racism, who are doing excellent work with different programming activity, and they've reached out to us for resources. So, I mean, there's so many groups even now that I'm, that I'm now ordering large quantities of books for that I didn't have before. I didn't have those relationships, so it's still continuing. So yeah.
So when did you enter the business?
So it's a family-owned business. It's myself, my mom, of course, my dad who passed away, my two younger brothers who are entrepreneurs. My younger brother, Bambata, who just came out. Well, they started a clothing line called YK1K. So they're pretty popular right now in the Dallas area and, really the whole South. But after I graduated college, at first I didn't want to own a bookstore. You don't grow up thinking you want to own a bookstore. I went to college for fisheries biology, so I came out doing fisheries biology.
I don't even know what that is.
So it's like marine biology but for like lake, ponds, and rivers.
Oh, okay.
So I did that. Moved to Houston, just kind of get away from Dallas because I'm like, Dallas is slow, blah, blah, blah. I want to move somewhere faster.
People aren't friendly.
Can't drive. So I moved to Houston, and it was cool. Hurricane Harvey made me leave. I got flooded out twice. And I said, you know what? I can move back to Dallas. I can still have my 9-to-5, but I can add more to my family business because I'm pretty good with social media, finances, and everything like that. So I would say around 2017, I became like full-time at the family bookstore. I'm over all of our social media pages. I do the emails. We have a Ubuntu market where it's a small business market, so it's not just black-owned businesses. Small and local, we set up every first and third Sunday, $20. You can sell whatever you want as long as it's legal. So that's
you got to state that.
Yeah, as long as it's legal.
Had to learn that the hard way.
As long as it's legal, but that market has helped so many small and local businesses grow from just a table set up to a brick and mortar, however you say that word, mortar. To, having a humongous online presence. So that's pretty much my little baby is our market. And I care about people's businesses growing. So, yeah.
But she came into the business when she was born.
Oh, yeah. I started working as like a 2-year-old.
1991. So, yeah. So it's been good. My late husband was such a great person and a very respected man in our community. And we just, most people didn't think we would continue after he died, but we did. And, and it's even, some people say it's even better. We've grown it to another level since he passed.
And what did he do before you all started the bookstore?
He worked as an electronic engineer with Boeing Electronics, and he started the business. He still worked full time at Boeing while I worked the store part time. Worked the store while he, went to work. And So yeah, but he worked for Boeing Electronics here in Irving, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm.
I think I was working like solo dolo at like 14 or 15. I would hold down the store sometimes, and even I traveled to Africa by myself, like to go shopping and everything.
Not at 14.
I was like 16, I think. I was.
You did not go to Africa by yourself at 15.
Yes,
you can't.
I did.
That's not allowed.
Oh, well,
you had to be in college. Sorry.
All right. Well, this is good. Good thing everybody's got the same story.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
I was a freshman.
My favorite was Kenya, the airport, and I arrived, and it was just there was no air conditioning. It was like 90 degrees in the airport. There was no water in the bathrooms, like the water wasn't working or whatever. And I was like, "All right, cool, not in America."
Yeah, that's a big wake up call when you go to most countries. The restrooms are a little different.
Yeah, in pretty much all countries besides, people just forget how new the United States is, including myself, but I see that all the time. Like somebody was explaining, somebody who was very pro-socialism was explaining how great Europe is and how in Amsterdam they it was a beautiful day, so they shut down all businesses and enjoy the beautiful day. And she told me how awesome that was, and I was like, that's terrible. But anyway, she said how awesome that was, and I said what she's forgotten is they've had thousands of years to build wealth.
Exactly.
And so a lot of these people have trust funds, and so it's like they just work to work, but they don't work to make a living. And that's something that during the whole BLM stuff, I got accused of a lot. And it's like, look, I didn't go to college. You know why? I didn't know scholarships existed. Nobody told me. So I was told about all this white privilege I had, all these advantages, which I'm sure I do. There's privileges everywhere. But the one thing is education. I was homeschooled and I didn't know. I made a 15 on my ACT because nobody told me it was important. Literally. So and this idea that it's I inherited things. It's I had to buy my first car. I had to I bought everything in my life. I started buying my own clothes and my own food when I was 12. And so there's still a lot of just poor people in general, or poor, people first generation wealth, where these European countries, when they can go pack up for a day, it's most of these business owners, the business has been in their family for 1,000 years, and they work just to have something to do. I think people forget that a lot.
But it would be cool though if in Mexico and places people shut down for lunch, all the business closed down so you can go home and eat lunch with your family. Wouldn't that be cool though?
I lived in Mexico City for a little bit.
Okay.
And I saw some of that, the smaller businesses. I'm all about people doing whatever they want, So if you want to Chick-fil-A could close down for lunch. It's a free country, they could do that. I rather they not, because I like to eat lunch at the time they're eating lunch. And I still in Brentwood, one of my favorite restaurants called Soy Bistro, Brentwood, Tennessee. It's not, I don't know why. Anyway, and they're closed from 2 to 4:30 in the afternoon. And so they clean everything again and then just kind of relax and hang out before they get the evening rush.
You would just adjust.
Yeah, you see some restaurants doing that. I'm just that's my thing is when everybody says oh, wouldn't that be nice? It's yeah, but it's a free country. If you want to do that, you could. I just don't like government getting involved in anything. I just think government's bad at everything.
Everything, right?
I used to say police and fire, but sometimes that's disputable.
I think we're just. Yeah, I would not mind shutting down for a little bit during lunchtime and just relaxing, because we do work. People really do work hard, need a little break, I think.
Even when COVID hit, it sucked, but it kind of felt good for things to slow down a little bit, on the business side. We had time to cook, work out together as a family, get a little closer. Not so much be in the store full time, busy. Things did slow down where we could kind of, enjoy each other. So that was one positive thing about total shutdown.
Yeah.
Besides the fact of people dying and losing jobs and stuff. But yeah. Yeah,
and there's lots of positives for people out there. For me, that it's just me and my wife, and now we have a kid on the way. So it's like, I just want to make a living. Like, I just want like these Dallas drivers, I just want to make sure her Tesla is in the driveway so we can survive these Dallas drivers.
I agree.
I don't know why cutting off is such a thing in Dallas. People love to swerve lanes.
We don't like to use blinkers here.
Oh my God, the freeways are like
Death traps.
they're so scary.
And there's never cops on them.
There's no point.
Because I drive very fast. This is well documented, but I do not cut people off and I don't swerve. So what I do is I get in the fast lane and I go very fast in the fast lane. But you're not going to see me cut in between cars or like get on people's bumpers. When there's an open road, I use my German powered engine to go fast.
The thrill of speed.
But Dallas, it just seems, I mean, there will be like stop traffic and there's people running on the wherever you're supposed to pull over when your car breaks down. There's people just like racing. I'm like, what is going on?
They got somewhere to go.
But I think the chief of police in Dallas is
he just put officers back on the highways.
because of road rage in Dallas. They're going to be putting more police on the freeways to sort of kind of keep an eye out for it.
My favorite is, because we don't have this in Nashville or in Tennessee at all, but is the expressway underground that y'all have, or it's like you kind of go underground.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, those are fun.
You just feel so cool, like going under the exit ramp.
Feel like Batman or something.
And there's never cops there because it's just one way in and one way out. I mean,
so you can go really fast.
Yeah, not like I would. I'm a responsible business owner. Look at me. I wear a pink tie. No guy in a pink tie has ever sped before. So, tell me some of the, I guess, problems y'all faced over 30 years and problems you continue to face and kind of what your solutions are to them.
I mean, I've been evicted once out of our business, right, which was quite devastating. Me and my landlord had some disagreements. And so I've had at that time, my art, which was put out on the ground. And so, but even in that dark moment, the community has
just like straight up evicted?
Yes, evicted, where the sheriff comes and knocks on the door. And he says, look, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I really hate to do this, but you're going to have to. I'm saying, what? So anyway, but the community came out with their 18-wheelers, and about 200-300 people came to help us move all of our stuff. And if you ever come to my store, you see we have a lot of stuff. I mean, it's like, it will kill you to move everything, all the art in our store. We have humongous pieces and museum pieces, and so, but it was just very, it was demoralizing in some sense. But the happy part about it is that we have a huge support within our community. We have a loyal base, and people come out together when they see someone who is in need of help, and we help each other. And that's what our culture teaches us, is to help each other. We're here to work together, and where we, if someone is in need, we help them. So that's one dark point, but we always seem to come out of it, right? And we never do it alone. We always do it with the help of our community. So when my husband passed, again, another time when we thought, oh my God, it was very sudden. I found him, gone, of a heart attack. And so it was very how are we going to move, But of course, the community came together and they wanted to make sure that we stayed in business. So people came together, help us plan the services. They just came out to shop with us, and so it's a place where it seems that as long as the people want us here, we will be here. So whatever challenge we may go through, I feel confident that we'll come out okay because we have the support of the community. So we've gone through some very difficult times. Again, COVID was one of them, but we've survived, and a lot of businesses did not survive. And the good thing about it now is that where there were bookstores closing down in the early 2000s, and now there are Black bookstores opening up because there is a need for Black literature and Black content. So
they can't just find that online.
They can, but you have the experience of coming into a Black bookstore. And, it's like a political decision that you make that I'm not going to shop with Amazon today. I'm going to take this money and I'm going to put it in our community, and hopefully that it will turn around and come back to us some kind of way, So I know you saw recently when in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they went there for the 100th anniversary of the commemoration of this place called Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So there is just then they made a federal holiday of Juneteenth, and so there is a huge interest, like you say, whether it's pressure or historical,
whether it's real or not.
Right? It is creating content. It's creating energy. It's creating a sense of strength and pride in Black people in this country. So it's sort of a good time for us right now, and I think it's a good time for humanity overall, to be honest with you.
And is there any worry on sourcing truth? Like if there's a book that comes out, you promote the book, and then it turns out things in the book are wrong or like way wrong, or like does that ever happen? And do you ever feel like
there's a lot of trash out here. There's so many books being written, and it's not, it's not worth the paper it's written on, a lot of books. So for me, I try to have books in our store. I can't order all of that stuff. It's a lot of junk out here. But for me, I try to get things that, I special order books for people. If they want a book that's crazy, then I order it for them, right? But I don't have a lot of them in my store. So I try to give people foundational information, historically documented facts and information that they can build from, right? And positive things. But yeah, there's a lot of junk out here. It really is. And you're right. But you have to give people sometimes what they ask for, not necessarily what I want them to read. But
do you put out your own book list?
I have not, but I need to. I just haven't gotten around to it.
I heard of this lady, Oprah. She's pretty new, I think. But she's got a book list, apparently does pretty well.
Oh, my gosh. I just saw her. Yeah, I am keeping up with Oprah's book list for sure. But even some of that I don't want to read.
Has she ever come to your bookstore?
She hasn't, but
Not
she's
yet.
Oprah. She doesn't have to come, to us.
What famous people have been to the bookstore?
We're not a lot of famous people. We did have, I don't know if you're familiar with Nipsey Hussle. He passed away. He came about 4 years
Right Hand of God, I listen to every morning.
Oh, yeah.
That's my
He
pump
came
up song.
about
4 years
a
ago.
month before he passed away, right?
What?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. And, I'm a big Nipsey Hussle fan. And so my daughter took me to one of his concerts. This was a year before he came to the bookstore. And then he came by and he bought some books.
A lot of books.
So that was really cool. And we've had any famous folks?
There's a lot of famous people who come in. Sometimes we don't actually know who they are.
Erykah Badu.
Oh, yeah. She's our favorite. Erica comes. We've had a couple of NBA.
Oh, yeah. Basketball players.
From the Mavericks come in. Baltimore Ravens. But some people we just don't know until they shout us out on the Instagram or something. Like, oh, wow, they got a million followers.
Have you heard of Sauce Walker?
No.
So he's a very enthusiastic, high energy rapper out of Houston.
What a great way to word that. That was the most politically correct way I've ever heard.
But it's true.
How would you describe 6'9"?
I don't like 6'9". So, I mean, even if it got to him, Adjwoa does not like you. But no, Sauce Walker is awesome. He's very high energy. Even if he's
out of Houston.
He's out of Houston, but his energy just makes you have energy and gets you excited. So he came to our store on Saturday. He actually did a nice promo video for us that got like over 300,000 views, and has been shared a ton of times. So we've got like 3,000 new followers people from, his influence, his reach have now come to us. Now they're inquiring about books, clothing, things that they, if he would have never came in there, they would have never known. Some people live right around the corner and don't know about us, but because this rapper came in. But yeah, so he's awesome. He came in. That's a lot of football players.
A little bit.
But yeah, a lot of football players come in, Cowboys. But like I said, a lot of people we don't know until they shout us out. We're like,
and it doesn't really matter. You just
we all people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm famous. No.
Hey, the key is just to walk like you're famous. It's like the key is to make the assumption that you're supposed to be there.
But we treat everybody equally in our store. Like even when Erykah Badu or somebody else walks in, we just let them shop. We don't like fan over them, even though maybe on the inside we're like, oh my God, but we let them shop in peace and treat them like, they're regular.
Yeah, I think everybody really does that. There's very few people that are adults that freak out over people.
Now, if Beyonce came in, I'll probably fangirl a little bit.
Oh, if Nas came in, I would be like, oh my God, can I have your picture?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a couple of people, we'll give them VIP treatment. But everybody else we treat like they my cousin or something.
All right, so it's artwork, it's books. What else is sold?
We have jewelry. We have health and wellness products. Are you familiar with Shea Butter?
I've heard of it.
Shea Butter and black soap. You ever heard of raw black soap?
Nope.
These are, if it weren't for Shea Butter and black soap, I think I would be out of business because these are my top selling products. Shea Butter is, of course, from Ghana, and it's this from the shea butter nut, but you put it on your skin. It's
in pretty much every hair or body product right now.
You'll never use Vaseline or Jergens or any of these other lotions again. It's just the most healing thing for your skin.
Is it oily?
It is. It is a little oily.
Can't work for me.
It won't work.
It might be in your deodorant. You don't even know it.
My wife would probably like it.
Oh, she would love. Oh, we
especially
need to
for
put.
the baby.
I'm going to bring her some. She needs to put it on her belly. She won't have any stretch marks after this.
What?
I promise you.
Yeah, she'd love to hear that.
Shea Butter and black soap is a raw. So Shea Butter and black soap is. I sell a lot.
What's black soap?
It's this ugly soap that looks brown and looks really ugly. Some people call it doo-doo soap, right? I'm sorry about saying that, but it's called doo-doo.
I'm just picturing an African man saying that. And can you do an African voice?
No, I don't talk African very well.
But it's like all natural. It's made with
Black.
rocks,
It's black.
charcoal. Yeah, it's brown,
Brownish
black. And it clear up any type of acne, skin issue.
So it's not like
rash.
a hand soap or whatever.
You can use it for hand soap. It's like I
it's
said,
the
it's in a lot of soaps.
I'm a
now.
Bath and Body Works guy.
Well, Shea Butter is in pretty much 90% of Bath and Body Works products.
For their like soap.
Oh, okay.
I do all the new seasons.
Oh my gosh, are you the candle person too?
No, I'm not a candle person. Never been into candles.
They have the best.
Y'all sell any candles?
I do sell candles, so like I said,
So they're the second best, is what you meant to say.
Oh, well, I don't sell a lot of candles, but Shea Butter and black soap, and we sell mostly. We help. There are a lot of local business women who sell beauty products, shampoos, conditioners, hair products. So we really source a lot of local business people who sell health and wellness products. So, just clothing, African clothing, we have,
Authentic.
we get things from Africa. We have things made, sewn in Africa, shipped here. So we help the African businesses there. We buy from Africa, then we sell it here, then we take money back to Africa and get more things and bring it back. So it's really helping build the African economy also. So I know you say this is all too good to be true, right? You're like, oh, this is the best story. But yeah, we do really We have a lot. But the African art, I think, is one of the biggest surprises.
Are there any
people walk in
famous
the
African
store.
artists that are in Dallas, or any prominent African
I
artists?
don't know of. There are a lot of famous artists.
Yeah, we've been having them all on the podcast. You should see our roster. We just have like artists for the next like 6 weeks.
You're kidding.
Like I was like, hey, get some artists on, and like, so this is typically how it works: is that I tell Hannah, hey, I want these types of people on, and then Hannah finds like 20 of those types of people and invites them all on, and 5 come on. Well, with artists, we invited 20, and like all 20 were like, yeah, sure. So here we are.
Well, there are a lot of great artists. One nationally known, internationally and internationally local. He lives in Dallas. His name is Frank Frazier. You ever heard of him?
Yeah,
Have you really heard of Frank?
I've heard the name.
You said yeah, but no, he's really good. He's just stuff is all over the place. And there's another artist called Othello Beck. He's passed away, but Dallas has some really great artists.
There's a chocolate brand out of Finland called Frasier's that's super good.
Really?
So when I heard Frasier, that's why I hesitate, because I was thinking of the child. I was like, do I know it for chocolate or the artist?
There's some great young artists too.
Do you know who Ozone is? A graffiti artist.
Sounds
I've
familiar.
not heard of
He was on the podcast.
He lives in Dallas.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's like, he started graffiti art in Dallas. He was like the
Check
first
him
guy
out.
to do it. He's been doing it for like 30-something years.
Love graffiti art. I love murals and
Yeah, and he does all that
great-
stuff.
I'm gonna have to look him up.
Yeah, I'll find them.
I love murals. It's my dream one day to have just to help get very positive murals all around Dallas.
What's the first one going to be?
Of course, it'll be a historical one where we remind people of their historical responsibility. I know you said this woman is too serious all the time, but to let people see these ancient heroes and sheroes like Paul Robeson, of course, Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, of course, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, and all of these great historians on a wall with some of these young people, maybe like Ozone on the picture, different young artists and people who are, just to bridge these generations together, right? But to remind you have work to do, not just to do whatever, but we have work to do. We have some legacies to live up to. So that's
All right, so you know a lot about history.
a little bit.
Can I ask some history questions?
Go on, come on.
All right, this
with
is
it.
a legit question that I know. So black people were sold out of Africa to the U.S. Like, what's the history? What's the
European
beginning?
countries.
Yeah, what's the beginning of slavery?
Well, the Portuguese were the first to the Arabs. The Portuguese were the first to come to Africa and get slaves and sell slaves. So Portuguese were the first.
So were there village leaders that were selling their own people?
Well, I tell you that story. Of course, we do all have negative elements within our society, right?
Yeah, and I'm just asking.
Oh, I'm just telling you that we all have these people who will sell you for 30 pieces of silver in a quick hot minute, right? So
I'm at least worth 60 pieces of silver. I want to state that right, Pierre. If you ever try 60,
60.
have you ever seen that Key and Peele skit of the Achin, like a slave Achin?
Key and Peele.
They did that movie Us.
Oh no, I haven't.
So they're these like they do these like skit series where they do like 3-minute clips essentially of a skit, and so one is like a slave Achin, and it's like them, and then it's 3 blocks or 3 Achin blocks, so it's them two, and then another guy, and another guy's like ripped, and he gets Achin for like he goes instead of them, and they're like, well, I mean, you would have to look at that guy, I mean,
Right.
and then it gets to this like scrawny, like super scrawny guy gets Achined, and they don't get nobody bids on them, and they're like, what? This is insane! Look at us. Anyway, just a funny clip.
You're worked at least with a piece of gum, like on that one commercial, the gum commercial. Can I pay you in gum?
Oh, I
Ever
don't
seen
know.
that? Yeah.
But no, we've all had those negative elements, and there was a lot of trickery that took place, of course, because a lot of people in Africa, they didn't know what they were given fabrics from India and all kinds of little trinkets and cheap jewelry and stuff.
Weapons.
They're thinking they're getting something great, which was worthless. But so yeah, some people they did. We had people sell their own people into slavery, or not sell them, but to capture them. And yeah, I guess they did get some little trinkets, but there was a lot of trickery. And let's keep in mind that if there was no demand, there would be no supply. Right?
Yeah, of course.
So that's the thing we have to keep in mind. But no, it's a very traumatic and very sad part of the history of the world, really, because the transatlantic slave trade, which came from Europe to Africa, brought the Africans back to Europe and then to America, right? So it's very sad history. But the happy part is that we're still here, right?
Yeah. I mean, I asked that because I don't know.
Yeah,
and
it's true. You're right. That point is very correct.
And well, I mean, I just don't. That just popped in my head. It was just so random. Like, wait, doesn't that mean somebody had to sell them in the first place? Which, again, I also, we've all bought things that we didn't know what we were buying. We've all signed up for things that we know we were signing up for. I tried to buy a Maine Coon cat, and it turns out the cat never existed. So we've all been swindled.
We've all bought tennis shoes that were made in sweat houses, or people get paid 5 cents, or.
Oh, we didn't know.
But we don't know.
My brother used to have this joke about Tom's shoes. If you buy a pair, they give a pair.
Yeah, they give a pair.
He'd always have this joke of like, yeah, they're giving a pair to their own workers because their own workers are in sweatshop.
How do you know?
But
right? It's like, how do you know who those
right.
shoes are going to?
But I think during, when they were selling the slaves, I don't think the people who were selling the slaves actually knew how bad slavery was or how they would actually treat those people they were selling. I don't think they understood how horrific it would be for those people. So
no, they didn't know. They didn't know they were taking them to hell.
Yeah, they didn't know it was a ship.
They didn't know that. Yeah. They didn't know there was chattel slavery. They had no concept.
Do you know the
kind
of the process? So like a slave is sold, and then they're loaded to a boat, and then how long does it take that boat to get to Europe? Like, do you know any of that stuff?
Yep. First of all, the people the Europeans that came to Africa, they really stayed sort of on the shore, and so they had, as you said, some helpers to go inside to get the slaves and bring them back. They really didn't go themselves to into the villages and things like that. They had people to bring them to the shore. So once they got on the ship, it was like a 3-month ride on the boat before they made it to Europe, or before they made it. It's like 3 months, 3-month boat ride, in which probably half of them survived it. But yeah,
wow,
so it's horrific.
Yeah, that was my next question: is how many survived on a 3-month?
Yeah, and some people actually jumped overboard intentionally to, they'd rather die than. Be
deal with
enslaved.
Those conditions.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people died. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes they would, they took out insurance on their cargo, so that if so many died, then they would be reimbursed.
And so many people died that it changed the way that sharks, migrated. The sharks started to follow. Look it up. The sharks started to follow the ships because they knew that people were jumping or getting thrown aboard. And it's free food. Yeah, so it even changed the way that sharks migrated, or their patterns.
She loves sharks.
I do love sharks. I love sharks.
All right, so I'm going to ask a more intense question.
Okay.
That I get into with my friend Shane all the time. His thing is like Black Lives Matter, shouts it, screams it. Yeah, of course I'm not. But then, and he's a Christian, devout Christian. And then when I say, okay, I just want you to stand against abortion because, 50 million black babies have been aborted, which would fundamentally change everything. And we don't know how many of those could have solved cancer or how many could have, whatever. And he won't stand up against abortion. My limited see is I see, okay, like, black people have had a harder time. I'm not I think everybody sees that. That's clear. My dispute is in 2021, is it still a harder time? And that would be a maybe thing that could be a discussion or whatever. My question is like, I've seen this enormous amount of abortions happen, and I look at Planned Parenthood as a racist organization because like it was founded by a known racist whose goal was to like get rid of black people. Like that was her goal.
Right.
Where do you lie on that issue? Because my thing is like, if Black Lives Matter, which they do, then we should be screaming like, let's not kill black babies or any babies.
All right, you ready
Dun, dun,
for my
dun.
answer?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, let's rock and roll. But really, okay. So I am. Of course, nobody is for aborting babies, right? But I do believe a woman has a right to choose what she does with her body. I don't think anyone has a right to tell me what to do with my body, right? Or what they don't know the conditions I'm in. They don't know what I'm going. They don't know anything about what's going on in my life and in my decision to have a baby or not to have a baby. But Black lives do matter, and I think it's just two separate issues, abortion and Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter, of course, is come out of what we call unjust police shootings, right? So, and of course, the abortion issues. And in our community, we don't really think that the pro-abortionists really even care about little black babies, right? We don't really, because you don't care about black lives. So we don't really feel that the issue, it may be a point that you, that is discussed. We don't know how serious it is, but when black children are suffering in poverty, black children are suffering at all different levels. Black children get the poorest education. They get the poorest health care. Do black children's lives really matter, right? So as far as abortion is concerned, we don't really, a lot of black people are they're pro, anti-abortion, should I say, because you don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to kill a baby. You don't do that. It takes a very serious decision to do that. But yeah, I think we have to keep those issues separate, right? Because it's a pro-choice issue and it's a pro-life issue, I guess. So it doesn't have to. I think Black Lives Matter is something that's totally separate from that. But again, I think.
But if Black lives are being aborted, wouldn't that hint that Black lives don't matter? Would be my thing.
But there are more, and just as far as the numbers are concerned, there are less Black lives being aborted than other babies, right? So I'm saying that it's not. In our community, it is not that big of an issue. And we have so many things to solve within our community that that one is not at the top of our list. We are suffering in such states of poverty, such states of disparities. Our communities, we have so many more men in our communities that are going to prison. So many, we got some shit to deal with in our community, right? That we'll let y'all focus on that. You can have it. But it's not at the top of our agenda. It is not. We have a lot of stuff to deal with. We have a lot of stuff going on within our communities. So,
and I want to state that I'm not saying pro-birth. And I know a lot of people interpret things that way.
You said pro-life.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm saying support, that means if it's a 9-year-old, if it's a 21-year-old, I'm for supporting people in lives, and just I don't like to see homelessness. There's lots of things that I like, we don't want to isolate anybody. We don't I'm saying pro-life, and I mean that from start to finish.
That's what you mean, but I don't know if that's what a lot of pro-life people mean.
I think it is. I think that there's always generalizations.
Okay.
And I think it's, so even if we do big studies, 100, 200,000 people, we're still a country of 350 million people. So it's just going to be such a small, there's just these broad, I heard somebody say like to say that Black Lives Matter, you have to find somebody saying Black Lives don't matter. Which it's like, and then the argument to that was, well, they're not saying it like just saying it. It's just in the way that things are set up and the ways, and so there's always, I guess, counter arguments. There's always discussions of things. And that's all I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to have these conversations because to me, it's like, I'm for it again. It's not like I'm just like, I'm for white people not having abortions either. Like I'm not like, it's not like I'm saying like black people should, but black, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that like, hey, like, I think that we as a developed society that doesn't sell people anymore, like if like I know that of course there's like set slavery is something that's rising and there's a bunch of terrible things around that, but in a society that is illegal to like slavery is now illegal, like a society is that it's like yeah. And so I like to think that, man, I think we're just too, I would like to think that we're too developed of a country to murder an innocent child that can't fight for himself.
I mean,
or herself.
Our social care system can't take care of them. So it's like, if I decide not to have a baby and I don't want it, it's going to go into a foster care system where they might be abused or, develop different traumas and grow up to, not be such a good person.
Yeah.
But I think it's about the human right of the woman. I mean, I'm not anybody's property. Nobody controls nobody controls my body. So I am definitely pro-choice. And just from the fact that most of these men who are out here talking about pro-life and they don't have to have no baby and they don't have to take care of it. Well, they do help take care of it. But if my husband, who passed away, was for women in control of their own bodies, women being, empowered, and making their own choices and not being treated as property and not being told what to do with their bodies. So, no, we all love children. I mean, we have children. My mother had 10 children. She never had an abortion, right? But if she chose to, I would hope that my father would have to understand, well, okay, I mean, we talk about it as a family, but I think there's a reason why people, I don't think it's an easy choice for women to do that, but they're making that decision. So
at least if it's legal, they could do it safely. But now I think they get like 6 weeks and you can't get one at all. So you'll start to see these illegal abortion,
Yeah, but if you look at the numbers, it's ridiculously small. Like when it's a hassle for people, they stop doing it. They're like, all right, I'm just going to have this baby. And it could mean a lot of things that it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have this baby and I'm going to regret it. I'm going to resent it. Again, everything comes from me as a Christian. So it's just me saying that the scriptures tell me that this was created in the image of God, that God had a plan for this baby's life before he was in the mother's womb. So I just look at it as like, I can't kill something that God has a plan for its life. Its plan could be to solve cancer. Its plan could be to, do all these amazing things. And so that's kind of my thing. And I'm never wanting to control women. I never want to tell women what to do. I just don't believe in murder. And so like in the same way that so that's how I look at it. I have nothing against like birth control or anything like that.
I think they need a male birth control. I think that's the real issue.
And but and also I'd make responsible decisions.
Pro-life. If you believe in pro-life, then you have to believe in no contraceptives. I mean, that's killing life.
Yeah, not in the same way because it's not like a sperm doesn't have like a heartbeat.
Oh, it doesn't.
So when you look at like how a baby like a baby has all its nerve endings, it has it can feel the pain. They've put cameras inside and you see it screaming. You see these things, and so there's things of like if a baby has a heartbeat and it can feel the pain.
But there are some pro-life people who do not believe in contraception.
Yeah, and
because they believe that's stopping.
And I disagree with them.
Right.
But don't they make some of these vaccines, not the COVID vaccine, but like some of these vaccines are from aborted fetuses, right?
Oh, yeah. Stem
cell research. That's a whole nother topic.
I think this is a very good topic because we don't really have this conversation in our community. It's never comes up.
Yeah, so let's transition to that. What are the things you're having conversations about?
Oh, my goodness. Of course, number one thing, of course, right now is the police brutality, right? That's huge within our community. Of course, we have voters suppression. That's huge in our community. We have, there's just dealing with just the economics.
Can you go into detail on voter suppression?
Sure. Recently you had, you had this big uproar about that there was these irregularities in the voting this last presidential election, right? That there was voters fraud when people, if there was, it wasn't much at all to make a difference in the election. So now you have, of course, in Georgia, you have these people in Texas also, coming up with all these little laws about you can't even give people water in line in the voters thing, right? Or you have to show all these forms of ID, or you...
Or is it multiple forms? Because I was under the impression that it was just your you just needed to have your license, which is the same to board an airplane or do other things.
I'm not sure. I thought it was multiple forms of ID. Maybe it's just one. But you have what are some of these other things?
Even in Houston.
You can't go. You can't go vote on Sundays. Like churches used to take, at least in our community, to make sure that we maximize, optimize our voting efforts. We would take people on huge buses, to the polls on Sunday. Now they're saying that the polls are going to be.
And they close at certain times.
Oh yeah. Anyway, it's cutting that opportunity off. But there's so many little things here now that, that just want to throw little monkey wrenches in this voting process of deterring people to come out and vote. Or there's voter suppression going on.
Yeah, because I looked into that, and it just seemed like Georgia was trying to pass laws that were about almost as close to New York's laws. So they were like, and so it was like one form of ID from my understanding for what I've looked into it. And so it was like a license or like anything you need to board a plane, which seems reasonable to me. And so and I'm sure y'all struggle with this too. I never know if something's actually a big deal or if the media has nothing to report on, so they're making it a big deal.
I think when you make things, it seems like the voting process is becoming more an inconvenience, right? They want to make it more of an inconvenience for people. Maybe the Republicans, the ones that are pushing for these laws, primarily in Texas and in other places like Georgia. So, they want to making it more of an inconvenience, which is a deterrent for people to come out and vote, because they don't want the same thing to happen that happened this past election, or that happened in Texas when you had how many judges that you have elected?
Oh, in Houston they had they took away the Democratic ticket where you couldn't do the vote straight Democratic anymore.
Oh yeah, can't do. Oh, I don't think you can do that in Texas anymore. You can't vote straight Democratic ticket or straight Republican ticket.
What does that mean?
So was it 4 years ago? About
Dallas,
4 years ago,
in
the state of Texas, you could just hit Democrat.
Oh, you could do it. You could do it last voting election.
Thank God they took that away, right?
So
I want people to know what they're voting for.
Well, yeah, but you had places like,
because I vote both sides of the aisle, so I'm looking at that politician, their policies, what they're doing. I'm doing research, and so the fact that somebody could just click somebody on a party just seems like they could be easily influenced to just vote for a party, Republican or Democrat, and it's like that seems always like a terrible idea.
So yeah, they took that off. So because there were too many. In Houston, they elected straight Democrat judges, so they didn't, the Republicans.
They were all
black women, and then Hidalgo, the Hispanic woman. Yes. So they didn't like that, so they took that away. And I remember
isn't that like a logic? Because in my mind, I'm like, even if it happened on the other side, if Democrats passed, I'd be like, good. Like,
no, Republicans liked it. They liked it, but it's just until it didn't go in their favor. Right. It wasn't, but it really, because most black folks are Democratic in our community, even though, like you said, sometimes a lot of black people voted for Donald Trump when he was, well, even this last time too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. More than
so. People have enough, they have a choice to vote straight Democrat, or they could vote, they could go down. They don't have to click that button. So, but it did make it did help the Democratic Party, which is primarily, which is the party that most people of African descent or people of color are members of. But a lot of people did cross the aisle and vote for Donald Trump. But they took away that option, which helped elect, more Democrats, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I just think there's some things that's like, I would have been for removing that from the start of history, like, because I want people to know who they're voting for, and to vote for a party is just like always a bad decision, because there's bad people on both sides, there's good people on both sides. I think that's safe to say. And anyway, so that's why I asked that. Okay, so voter suppression. What was the first thing you named?
Of course, just the shooting of unarmed black men, right, in our communities. Unless there's a camera around, then nothing happens. So, and this is something that's historical, that's been going on in this country for years. It's nothing new, but it's just that people are now recording these incidences on camera. So I remember the Washington Post had like a thing, and again, when I state something, I'm just saying something I've read. I'm not picking a side. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to clearly state that, because sometimes when people ask difficult questions, they assume you're on the other side. I'm just asking questions. So Washington Post did a thing of like, here's every shooting involving a cop and somebody dying. Here's how many of them were unarmed, everything else. And I believe in 2019, it was a total of 19 unarmed black people were shot by cops. And then it was something like, in the course, there's way more white people. It was something like 30 something white people and, 10 Hispanic people or something like that. And so it seems to be, I look at these things, I just see, okay, like, shootings happened, and I don't see them. And again, I'm a white guy, so this is probably why, but I don't see them as like a race thing. I just see that like a cop was mistrained, or a cop didn't have enough training. The average cop trains very little, especially actually firing. I fire about 20,000 rounds a year. So like I have a pretty proficient with a gun. And so the average cop isn't that proficient. They don't get that much training. They don't get everything. So I see this thing and I just see like, okay, somebody that was poorly trained. We maybe don't know both sides. Maybe don't know even one side. All these other things. I don't ever look at it as a race issue. Again, white guy. Tell me your side of that story, because I really would love to hear it. Well, it is definitely a race issue. Everything has to do with race in this country, even though you don't realize it does. If you look at it, there are so many incidences. I can name one where there was this, let's just go with the January 6th, what do they call it at the White House?
Uprising.
Anyway, if that were black folks climbing up the White House walls with weapons, we would have been tear gassed and bombed before we even got
Were they armed?
Close by.
Well, they were using fire. They killed.
They were armed. They were armed. They had, a lot of them were armed with sticks and whatever else they had. There were bombs planted around around close by.
They were using fire extinguishers.
So I'm saying it doesn't matter if they were armed or not. They presented a threat, but nobody was shot.
Well, one lady was shot, but
by who?
By security.
And why?
For committing a crime. Like, she should have been shot. I'm all for it. I was just saying she was an unarmed lady that was shot like that.
I'm saying we wouldn't even made it to the chamber. So I'm saying that was a clear.
Which, by the way, I was for that. I wish they wouldn't have made. Like, there was this weird thing. There wasn't a lot of security there. There wasn't. The whole thing was a mess.
It was.
But they knew they were coming. So
yeah, and then
so
because if
watched it on video, I guess on TV, everybody was the whole president, including, watched it on, of course, live.
Because I was I was for them getting shot too. I mean, I'm for very keeping a line. I don't care about color, but no. So give me that's one example.
That is one huge, blatant example. I mean, now let's go to the other stuff, but that's one that the whole world could see, right?
And they got probation.
I don't think anybody's really been prosecuted.
Yeah, they've got probation versus.
But that was huge, and I know people say they had the patriotic right to do that, but I'm saying, just had it been all of those have been black folks, right? Or Black Lives Matter, please, we would have been shot. So
were you shot in any of the cities that there were BLM riots? Along with BLM, I know that I'm not saying those people are part of BLM. I understand that a small segment, but were any people shot during those riots or even during those peaceful marches?
I mean, people were rubber bullets were shot at them, even right here in Dallas. Peaceful marches, right? Rubber bullets shot at folks. You had the incident, I don't know where was it, where the guy had a gun and shot a protester. He walked right by the police officers with his gun, and he actually killed someone. I don't remember where it was, but this young white boy actually killed a protester, shot him dead, right?
He killed a white protester too.
He was walking around with one of them big rifle guns, automatic guns, and the police did not shoot him. Had it been me walking around with a gun like that after shooting someone, I would have been dead. So I'm saying there's so many blatant examples where had we been dead, had we been black, we would have been shot. I mean, there was one guy, I think it was recently shot a police officer in
Wise County,
Euless or somewhere. What was it?
Oh, Euless, yeah, down not
he
far.
Shot a woman, a police officer, killed her. Was it killed? I think she died. Anyway, shot her, got away, and then they talked him down. I'm going, what? So anyway, I'm saying I'm not for anyone being shot unnecessarily, right? But we're not given that opportunity. They somehow seem to think that our lives are not worth talking down or negotiating for. Just shoot them. Before you even say anything, just shoot. I mean, we're shot in our homes, watching TV, shot dead. And we're not threatening the police. So I'm saying there are incidences where...
And you don't think that ever happens with white people too?
No, I don't think so. Can you give me an example? I'm not seeing it.
So Tody Timp, I believe his name was. He was a guy that he called 911 saying he needed help. And they he was like, hey, I need mental help, whatever. A bunch of cops show up, and a cop ends up kneeling on him. And he ends up passing out. I don't know if the cop puts him in a chokehold or I think that chokes him out. He's nonviolent. He's not doing anything. You can find this video. And then the cops make fun of him as he's laying there, and then turns out he's dead. 2 years in court to get the video released. Video's released, and the cop still hasn't been arrested. Nothing's happened. Whatever. And so that is a case of a white person, and there's lots of those cases. So because I always go to things, and again, it's just because I've never met somebody who has been racist my whole life. Not my parents.
You're from Tennessee? Not
my grandparents. Yeah, I've never met somebody ever. And so, what did you say?
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like I'm pretty, I don't know. I've just always, I was raised in a family that treated everybody the same and never once talked about race. So there was never this thing. It was like, I had black friends, I had Asian friends. It was just like, everybody was people. People were people. And I was kind of,
that's, and that may really be the case, but I wonder if the black people around you can say that same thing, right? even your friends, that they never experienced racism.
Yeah.
Even though they were your friends, you didn't.
Here's a funny example. So I'm playing golf, and I hit a ball in a guy's backyard. I'm playing with my friend Charles, who lives here in Dallas, black guy, and the guy, I hit this guy's backyard. He comes to his fence. He's like, "Who hit that ball?" And I was like, "I did." And he was like, "You almost killed my dog." I have a video of this, by the way. This guy goes crazy. He threatens to pull a gun on me. He's going berserk. He's going to sue me. He's going to get banned from the course, all this stuff. And we get in the golf cart after, and Charles goes, "Man, I'm glad that happened to you, because it happened to me. I thought this guy acted this way because I'm black." He was like, "But that guy's just crazy." And so, so Charles was ready to, and again, maybe it's from previous experiences. Right. I don't want to speak for anybody. But maybe it's from, but essentially it was this thing that like he was like, oh, well, if a guy acted like that, but then he saw a guy act crazy like that, another white guy, and he's like, okay, cool, this guy just sucks. And so I don't know other people's life and other people's experiences, but when I hear the story of these awful stories of cops making mistakes, and with nearly 1 billion arrests a year, 1 billion like interactions a year, something insane, I understand mistakes make, and of course I want them lowered like everybody else. But I also have seen it on, like, when I've if you look, it happens to white people, it happens to black people. And so to me, I never see as a race issue. I see as like some cops suck. Some people suck.
You even have that one incident in Minnesota where the black cop, he was Somalian, he killed a white woman. And he's probably the first cop to get like 22 years. And she got like the biggest, her family got the biggest settlement, Minnesota has seen. But they swept that one under the rug. But he was like one of the first not the first, but he was one of the like first black cops to kill a white woman. And he actually like went to jail. Like it was, they didn't treat him like they treated everybody else. They threw this black cop under the rug. So that's when you kind of knew it really wasn't a Blue Lives Matter thing.
So that's something I see, and it's like, okay, there's an actual case that I would love to explore, because a lot of them, when I look into them, it's like the details are always way different. Like when you dive into it, like there's a media narrative that's been pushed, and sometimes the media narrative doesn't match up with like the actual facts of everything. And so I just err from the side, because I've never been around anybody who's racist. It's like some people just suck. And like sometimes we are over highlighting things, and maybe we're not over highlighting. We're just highlighting things, and we're not highlighting other things that can make you think or feel a certain way about things. Like during the peak of the BLM thing, I would watch the news, which I try not to watch the news. And I'd be like, wow, I guess everybody's like I was just like, you just start to think that everybody's racist, or everybody's out to get you, or like, and this thing of like, I don't know, what you think about all the time may actually happen. I don't know. But so it just seems to be that when I look at the media, they only get views by dividing. That's the only way they get like shocking news. And like the goal is to divide of the media. And so it seems like they've really rooted division into their mission, into their goal. And one of it is like push this narrative that like anytime a cop shooting, like if a white cop shoots another white man that's unarmed, that's innocent, that nothing wrong, nobody talks about it. And if it happens, if it's a white cop and a black guy, everybody talks about it. And I'm not saying it's wrong that everybody talks about it. I just think everybody should talk about both instances. And there also should be some grace to say like, hey, there's a ton. Like, let me give you an example of like a clearly messed up case that's clearly race driven that I have a huge problem with. I don't know the guy's name, but it was in Georgia, and he was jogging through a neighborhood, and these two sheriffs, like a former sheriff of the sheriff's son, just like shot the guy. And then they were never arrested. They were like, if you ever, so in gun training, you learn that if you shoot somebody and the cops show up, they're going to arrest you. They're going to take you in. They have to process you. Right. Doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, or they just have to process you. The cops showed up, never arrested them, never processed them, never anything until, I guess the video came out.
And then, friends,
So that's something I see, and I see that's clearly, you could say it's clearly race on the people that shot him, because they probably wouldn't have done it for a white guy. But on the police and everything, all that is a buddy system. That isn't, I don't think that's like race driven. That was just like, oh, he's my buddy, he's good, right? So anyway, that's my side of some of these events, is that I see these things, and it's like, I get, because the way the media pushes everything through. But I think there's other sides, and I think it happens for all races. I just think that there's a bunch of police interactions, and there isn't enough police people, and they're not trained well enough.
It's definitely a lack of training. And as you said, most police officers are just working people like the rest of us, right? Trying to feed their families, working overtime, trying to just make ends meet. And
Probably couldn't get a job out of college and say, what can I do? You can do too, go to the police force.
But there is some historical racist, atmosphere, even within inside of that institution, inside of the police department. So there's a reason why it's untrained, because black police officers don't shoot as many black people as white police officers shoot black people. Because, and
that's looking at the stats of how many black officers there are to white officers, or just as a total amount?
Just in the number of shootings
because
that occur.
Because if there's only 10% of all cops are black, then that's why that number would end up that way.
Within our communities, black officers are not as quick to shoot their own people, because they understand each other. They understand why someone might run from the police, right? Growing up in our community, they understand why someone may be fearful of the police. They understand, our actions and our reactions. So they don't shoot automatically. They don't want to kill you. It's not the first thing in their mind to shoot.
But I think that's not the same thing for most cops, white or black.
Well, the first instinct for a lot of white officers within the black community who are untrained, who may be young, unexperienced, and don't know the community, the first instinct is to shoot.
See, that sounds like an assumption to me.
No, it happens. I mean,
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it still sounds like a broad assumption in a country with 350 million people.
It happens. They shoot for whatever reasons, maybe out of fear, from lack of training, but there's this urgency to shoot first, right? And now you say, I feared for my life, when there was no fear for your life. So there's a lot of cases where, it's just a lot of cases that are race has a lot to do with everything in this country. Everything, businesses, education, sports, everything. Race has something to do with it.
In sports, how is it? Because to me, it's like all professional athletes that are good are black, right?
I mean, look at Colin Kaepernick, right? I mean, here you have a black man who refuses to bow down or whatever, put his hard hand over his heart during the national anthem, and he's, put out of the NFL, right? I doubt if a white person did that they would be put out of the NFL.
Let me give my perspective to that.
Oh, hold on. Wait. I didn't finish yet. So also, because I've had, it was the basketball player who used to play for the Mavericks, who used to speak out a lot. What's his name? Used to be an old soccer player.
Just moved here.
Well, anyway, other races, they can speak out against the war.
Steve Nash,
yes,
can speak out a bit.
Right, can speak out, and nothing. They're allowed to do that. But we know our limitations, right, and what we can say and what we can't say. Because if we speak out, I think LeBron wore a shirt that says something I support. I don't know if it was Black Lives Matter or something. And he was criticized. He had to take that statement back.
There's always going to be criticized.
But I'm saying to you, we do not have the freedom to say to defend our community as other people have the freedom to do so. I mean, you have never experienced racism, but I'm sure that your lineage, your family, they've always had the freedom to do whatever they wanted to do. You don't have to question even even in Dallas, we had to question my grandmothers and great grandmothers. They couldn't go to the fair but once a month, one day out of the whole fair, right? It was a black day. So we've not always had the freedom to go where we wanted to go or do what we wanted to do because it would cost you your life.
And we all agree that's terrible and bad. And I like to think that in 2021, that isn't a thing.
We still have that trauma. We still don't have the freedom to say where we, even to go where we want to go. Even if we do have the freedom to go, some of us still have that hesitation of going to the zoo when we want to or going to different places. There's still a hesitation. So you'll see that our numbers are not at the art museums or at the zoos or at the just simple things of life that, most people go to. We are not there in large numbers. And it's not just because we don't have the interest, but it's this historical trauma that is within us that we don't move as freely as maybe you do or your family does, or we don't. It's still, our thinking is still sort of has this blockage, right? You don't do that. We're not going there. So no, I'm just saying to you that even in sports, there's still racism. I mean, a lot of it, right? Here you have mostly black athletes, right, who are in college who've never been paid for anything. I mean, they make these colleges rich. Oh, you too, right?
No. Can I chime in on that one?
Go ahead.
I'm all for colleges paying their. I call it modern day slavery. The University of Texas makes $100 million a year off their football team. $100 million a year, doesn't pay them anything. A free scholarship. Come on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I'm all for these things that are injustices. Again, there's white people on the University of Texas team that don't get paid either. My thing is, it's not a race issue.
Families like the little black kids do.
It's not a racist issue, in my opinion. To me, it's a colleges suck issue.
It's slavery, modern day slavery. You said it right the first time.
Yep, and I mean that for all. I mean that for white. Anybody who's on that team is what I mean. I don't mean it by black people. I mean modern day slavery of anybody who's on that team.
But
because they're playing, making the company a ton of money, not getting anything from it. So on the Kaepernick side,
yes,
this would be my perspective of it. If I'm a team owner,
yes,
I'm not a big football guy in the first place, but if I was a team owner. And this guy's not doing this. It's whatever. That's fine. Free country. Do whatever you want. That's really my opinion on most things. So again, this might not be how this team owner thought or others. Mm-hmm. But if the media starts just highlighting it like crazy, the media starts just blowing it up, and I don't want that kind of press. I'm like, all right, I'm out. In the same way, if the white player did something that was getting a lot of press, he's out. Like, it's not a race thing. Sometimes it's just a PR issue, and it's like, I got to handle this PR issue. Or what if he just stopped playing well? I don't think his numbers were that great. Wasn't he a backup quarterback?
I mean, he was actually pretty decent.
He wasn't a starter though.
He wasn't, but he helped them get to the playoffs. I'm not a 49ers fan, but I do know that in football, you have people who kill people, beat their wives with AK-47s, and you sweep that under the rug. But this one guy just
So check this out though, because the media didn't promote it. So if the media promoted that, I guarantee those guys would be out. So my thing is that some of these things, again, and I can be wrong. I'm just, we're both expressing our opinions here, but my opinion is like, hey, if the media promotes it, then if the media never promoted Kaepernick doing it, I guarantee you'd still be there. Guarantee it.
I know Jerry Jones said none of his boys are going to be taking no knee.
And he owns the team.
That's what Jerry Jones said.
He owns the team. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like it is a business, and he owns the team, and he plays the players. It's his decision to make. It's kind of like if Pierre said, I'm not going to switch the camera angles. I'd be like, all right, well, Pierre, well, have a good one. I'm not racist. I don't have any. It's just that, like, he didn't do his job. But anyway, Jerry Jones, he might have the thing. It's like, you work for me, you do what I say. And, it is what it is. So anyway, I just think that a lot of these issues that get covered as race, when you dive into them, they don't seem to be race driven. And I also see your point that your hesitation is not it's not anything that anybody can fix, because these are from past wounds from when there has been clearly racist, like is it called red zoning, when they would only allow people to buy in back, like there's clearly racist things that have had terrible outcomes
that we're still suffering from today.
I think a news article just came out about the banks in South Dallas, or the southern region of Dallas, how you can only make deposits. Most people only can make deposits, but they can't even get a loan from those same banks, just because of where they live at. Nothing to do with income. Well, of course, some Southern Dallas has lower income, but it's like you could put all your money in this bank, but you can barely get a $3,000, $5,000 loan. So,
don't have me talking about these banks in our community. They are horrible.
Horrible.
All of them are horrible.
I still bank in Tennessee, so I can't comment on this.
They are pretty bad.
They make tons of fees off of people. They make more money on fees in our communities than anywhere else. I mean, than any. They make all overdraft fees, all these different fees. They make so much money in our community that they don't make in other communities. That they don't have. They don't really have to give you They don't have to do anything other than just they make a lot of money off of fees. So then they treat you just really bad. It's
really bad. And we've experienced, bad treatment from banks, and we're pretty reasonable, It
doesn't matter. But so the banking system does have a lot of repatriation. They need to repair a lot of the wounds that they have created to stifle the wealth building within our communities. This redlining, there's a book called The Color of Money, where it talks about how this government was complicit in creating poverty within our communities and they would give housing loans to, of course, these white communities. And in this part of town would only give blacks housing loans in this part of town where, of course, the property value is much lower, and then they were just complicitly saying you can't sell to black folks over here; it's against the law, and just complicit in creating the wealth divide within our community. So, it's racism.
So I see
clearly.
that, and I see because we have that is right. But I think in 2021, I see a lot of these things, and in 2020 and 2019, I don't know one. Again, I don't know any racist people, but I especially don't know any racist people that are my age. And so my thing is that the point I make is that I see a lot of things that automatically, and this is for good reason, because of your past, that you see something like that's racist. Even though there could be no actual factual data that could prove to be racism, but maybe your past history could make me think, make you suspicious about it, or make you automatically assume it. We all make assumptions. I'm not, and again, could be right, everything else. And so my thing is that going forward, it seems like everybody's on a pretty level playing ground. And that is in the United States of America, anybody can go from nothing to something. Gucci Man can be, we were talking about Gucci Man for this episode, he goes from probably raised in the projects, if I had to guess, right, to worth $50 million and, is crushing it, right? And I think that is the American dream that can happen to anybody. Now, I also, as a guy who has worked with lunch buddy programs and after school programs with poor inner city kids, prominently being black, not all, but prominently, I've seen that a lot of them have been told by their own parents, you're never going to be anything. And so there's some mindset shifts, there's some education shifts, there's a lot of things that need to go down. But when I see a lot of these issues, and I've been outspoken about this, is that I see a lot of things that point to saying that poor lives don't matter. Yeah. I see a lot of these things, and I don't see them as race. I see them as a poor issue. Because I know what it's like to have a low credit score and not get approved for anything. And it's a poor issue. And I've seen it on black and white, and and so when I see a lot of these education issues, when I meet stupid white kids, or whatever the case is, when I meet uneducated people, no matter the race, a lot of times it was, I grew up in this bad part of town, and I got access to this school that wasn't a good school. And so I see a lot of things that point to poor lives. And so my thing is that, again, easy maybe from a white guy's perspective, but In today's time, I don't see a lot of stuff that I can point and say, that's black. That's the issue. It's race. That person hates black people, or that person's racist, or the system's racist, or anything like that. I've seen that in the past, in the history, of course, that's clear as day. But in today's day, I see a lot of things that are just like, well, poor lives don't matter. And I remember somebody saying, this black guy, he did some petty crime or whatever and got 20 years in prison. And I go, man, that makes me furious, like legitimately. And so I started looking it up, and because somebody's, the white guy did it, got 6 months. And I realized, well, the white guy they exampled was super rich, and the black person was not rich. And so I think a lot, like I know poor white people that have gotten like ridiculous charges because they couldn't afford a good lawyer. I mean, and I've seen this with Asian people and so on and so forth. And so I look at a lot of these issues as poor issues and not necessarily race. Do you see a lot of that too, or am I just blind? Or
you are blind, and just to say that, because it's me as a black woman, I suffer from not only oppression from race, from being a black woman, and also being poor, class, right? I'm poor, but also it's gender, is for being a woman. So I have this triple oppression of me as a black woman. I'm poor, I'm black, and I'm a woman. So I'm discriminated on all levels at some point or another. Now, it can't only, I agree. Poverty is, it's huge. Poor people pay for everything in this country. Only poor people are locked up in prison. And let me just say that there may be, although we may represent maybe 13% of the population as black people, maybe over 50% of us are locked up. There's something wrong with that. We're just not born criminals, right? No, there's something wrong with this system where more black people are taken out of our communities, like she said, for given longer sentences. You have at one point.
But is this because they're black or because they're in a poor community?
You have cocaine and crack, cocaine and crack, right? Both killing folks, right? But white folks were being locked up for cocaine, black people were being locked up for crack, and you're getting way longer sentences for crack than cocaine. Why? Because it's a black problem. So tell me that's not racism. That's racism.
Yeah, so that piece I see as racism.
So let me just say that it can't just be poor, even though poverty is horrible, and as I said, poor people are punished for being poor in America. So, but it has to be more.
But is it also true?
There's a race issue. There's a race issue there. There's race and class. So we have to include both, because you're not white folks. And I don't even like saying white folks, but I'm saying, as far as race is concerned, we're the first fired, or last to be hired and the first to be fired, right? So, and I'm saying the education system, we're not as educated as most folks. We have a poor education system, so we get poor paying jobs, not just because of color, but for being poor in general. But I'm saying the education system in our communities, it's not what it is in Highland Park or even North Dallas. There's two different worlds. If you ride to my community, then just ride maybe 20 miles up north. It's two different worlds. Tell me it's not something to do with race.
So I would say that it probably had something to do with race.
Well, okay.
And there's a previous generation that might be more racist, or there's previous laws that might be more racist. But in today's times, it's not because of race. And a lot of times it's economical, or a lot of times it's like, because I look at like poor education and like sometimes it's just economical, that it's like it's a bad area town and therefore it's bad education if you're a white person living there or a black person living there.
Well, there are issues within our community. We have a majority of our communities have been weakened, right? Primarily because of a lot of drug activity that was perpetuated. A lot of our black men have been taken out of our communities, locked up in prison. So you don't have those those structures in place that you need to have strong communities, right? So I'm saying there are a lot of factors out here that keep our communities in a state of confusion, in a state of chaos. And part of it is we don't have that wealth. We weren't allowed to build the wealth that maybe other communities have, North Dallas or other white communities. We weren't allowed to build the wealth to have these strong communities. So yes, our communities are in conditions that we didn't create ourselves. They were created complicitly by racist institutions and racist policies. I mean, you can agree with that, right? So how is it not continuing today? It's still in place. So I'm saying, no, we're still suffering from the effects of slavery, racist institutions, racist policies that were perpetuated maybe 50 years ago. But our communities are still suffering from those conditions. So race is always a factor.
Do you think that anybody has a chance to make it out and become something? Anybody can be nothing and become something.
The majority of the
because that's my story. That's Oprah's story. That's
I'm saying
who's the guy from Family Feud? Steve Harvey. That is my favorite. He's a big suit guy. I love his suits. Like that's a lot of our people's stories. Is like
the majority.
Coming from nothing.
I'm not looking at
actually the majority of millionaires, like 75% of millionaires, grew up with nothing and inherited no money. 75% of millionaires.
Most of them. I mean,
75% of millionaires.
Like you said, some of them have trust funds and all this kind of stuff.
A very small percentage, but the most millionaires in our country, more than any other country in the world, came from nothing.
I mean, we want everyone to be successful, right? I know under capitalism you don't. It's all about individualism, where you own your own, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps,
and then everybody comes up with you.
And it's not true. I mean, this system is not designed for all of us to make it. It is not. I mean, it is not. What do they say? Work hard and you're successful. No, I know a lot of people who work damn hard and they don't. They can never get up there. I know some people who don't work hard at all, and they're up there. So, no, I'm saying it is not the American dream is not as ideal and simplistic and just work hard and you'll get there. No, this system is not designed for everyone to succeed on that level. It is designed for some people to be at the bottom and to be poor and to be exploited, to support a system.
So if that's true.
To support a system of where you need folks who are not as educated. You need a low educated workforce. Because you need to fill service in jobs. You need people to almost work for free. You need crime within these communities. Because how else are you going to make money off of the prison system, which is on the stock market, right? How else? It's all based on profit. So our community are most times the brunt of all of that.
If that's true, why are we the richest nation in the world? Why if you make
slavery,
$30,000, if you make
deal with slavery.
Let me finish my point.
No surplus of wealth before slavery. That's how you became the richest country in the world. Is off free labor.
So how does 75% of millionaires, maybe 80%. You can look it up. I mean, I wish we had a computer here, but like it's the vast majority of millionaires came from nothing. They started with $0 and grew something.
Who came from nothing? Name me one.
Steve Harvey, Oprah.
Steve Harvey? Of course,
all these
he came
people.
from our community. Yes, he did.
Yeah, you name all these, almost all black, white. Doesn't like if you look at millionaires in the U.S. The U.S. is the only place where if you go to Europe and try this, it's much harder. You go to other countries and try this, it's much harder.
Well, what do you think?
We're the most prosperous nation in the world because we're the most capitalistic nation, and capitalism makes everything better. It's why we donate to other countries.
Only a few. Ask those people living under the bridge how better it is for them.
Do they have a chance to go to McDonald's and get a job and work their way up? Do they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I'm somebody who, again, came from nothing and it has experience. Like, I have a studio now. I'm not killing it, but, like, I have a house.
And you're a nice guy, and we respect you.
And so, but what I'm saying is that, like, that's what America allows. America allows for anybody to come from nothing.
Living in a dream world. That opportunity is not afforded to everyone. It sounds good, but it is not how capitalism works.
It is how capitalism
not meant
works.
for everyone to be successful.
But the problem is that's not what the data shows. That's not what the data shows.
Well, I'm saying it would never. Capitalism needs a class of people to exploit. It needs that.
No, it doesn't, because it lifts everybody up.
Oh no, it doesn't. I've asked why aren't everybody millionaires? Because we don't work hard.
Well, I would
that
say,
it?
well, there could be lots of things. So not everybody reads a ton. Not everybody's well educated. Not everybody's ambitious. Not everybody is drug and alcohol free. There's
So
people.
those are reasons why why everyone can't.
Well, I think there's always a percentage. Some people are injured. Some people are mentally ill. Some people, there's always going to be
But I'm saying,
natural things that happen.
McDonald's wouldn't be McDonald's if they had to pay their employees over $7 or $8.
I'm saying realistically, that system that you're speaking of does not exist.
That's the problem. That's what all data shows.
No, it doesn't. Like I said, if that's what it shows, then everyone should be able to reach that status.
That is. Everybody can. And it might require a lot of sacrifices. It might require changes. It might require uncomfortable conversations, but everybody can. That's the advantage.
I definitely disagree. I mean, that's not the way it is. This system needs a class of people to exploit.
No, it doesn't.
It needs poverty. It needs these things to give it life.
No, look, maybe some corporations need that. Maybe there's a case to be made there. But the truth is that America is the most prosperous nation the world's ever known, and that's because of capitalism. It's because capitalism makes everything better.
It's prosperous because it had free labor for 400 years. I mean, tell me about the free labor aspect of it. America had no surplus of wealth before slavery. So of course, anyone who had that type of support or foundation, of course, you might be rich, right? You may be, but most countries don't have that type of head start. I mean, free labor. Free labor. I mean,
so I'm not an expert on that, so I don't have a comment for that. But
you know that slavery gave this country a huge advantage, correct?
Correct. And
okay.
I'm not. So what I'm saying is, from now on, I'm not like to. I think that if we spend all the time talking about how bad and how suppressed and how everything is, then we just live in that guilt and that we just live there, and then nothing ever gets done. Nobody's ever happy. Everybody's always mad. People are threatening to kill me. It's because of this thing that people just live in this, but if you live in the future where anything is possible, that is the beauty of America.
I disagree. I mean, because I see the disadvantages. I see the disparities. I see people working hard within our own families, right? And they're not millionaires. Not that they even aspire to be millionaires, right? Because that may not be the ultimate objective.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for me, I don't have to be a millionaire. If everyone had things that they need, if they had a good education, if they had good health care, if they could live life to their fullest potential, that's all I need. You don't have to give me $1 billion or $1 million. I'm good. As long as I have what I need and you have what you need, and everybody can live their life to the fullest. That sounds like socialism, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot
I'm just saying to you that it doesn't happen. It's the American dream.
Well, I mean, the problem is that's not what all data shows.
Well, I'm saying in your community, maybe, but in mine, I see a whole different story.
So how does Oprah do it? How do people make it out?
One woman. How are you going to judge? I mean, and even they would not have gotten to where they were if it weren't for people. There are all of these people that came before them that paved the way, right?
I agree.
The masses of the people that died just to sit next to white folks on the toilet. They died just to sit on the back of the bus. Every inch of progress,
and those things are terrible,
that we have made we have had to shed our blood for, right? So Oprah didn't make it because of Oprah's just brilliance or Steve Harvey's ability
charisma
to talk.
He's pretty charismatic.
No,
right?
They made it because people shed blood for them. They sacrificed huge.
Yeah, and we're here because soldiers keep our country safe. I mean, there's lots of things. Our communities are not overrun with crime because we have police officers. We can do this game about everything, right?
I'm saying to you is that there's more to this than just everyone, that we all have the same equal opportunities in this country. We don't.
Well, I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
I think so, but that's okay. But yeah, I see a different story. And I live a different history, I guess, than most.
What do you see? Do you see it that way?
Well, I know it's not the same, you know. Even when it comes to getting to different colleges and stuff like that, I mean, growing up, you know, and thank God I had awesome parents who, you know, believed in me and taught me history. I knew, you know, I had to go to college, you know, or I needed something if I wanted to make not so much money, but just make a good life, you know. So I see a lot of children these days who might grow up in the southern sector of Dallas who go to these schools. Like, for me, example, I went to a high school. My daddy used to get mad because I didn't have a backpack. And I'm like, for what? We don't have books. Like, I'm a whole high school senior. I can't write a full essay. So when I get to college, you know, I went summer school first. I'm flunking. But, you know, if I would have went to a school in Richest, you know, I would have known how to write an essay. I would have had those teachers who weren't just there to not so much babysit, but actually cared about teaching or had books, calculators, different things like that. I went to a school in Oak Cliff. We didn't have T9 calculators or T83s, whatever.
TI-83s.
Yeah, TI-83s. Like, I got to college and I had to learn how to use a calculator for algebra. So our school systems are messed up. Yeah, it might be because, you know.
See, that would be
property taxes, all of that. Yeah, okay. But still, you know, we should still have the same opportunity as the schools in, you know, North Dallas or Richardson like that.
But so is that a race issue or an economic issue?
Both.
Yeah, because I look at that as just a pure economic. Like, I see this, you know, like, I didn't know I didn't know scholarships existed. Nobody ever told me.
Well, the only reason I knew about scholarships was like you could hoop. You know, they teach black people the only way you can become a millionaire. You can rap, you can hoop, you know, you can play sports, be a singer,
sell drugs.
You know, they promote that. What they're, you know, rappers, Gucci Mane, right? For example, yeah, he grew up in the projects, drug dealer, whatever. But his label knows that in order for us to make money, we're going to push this narrative about this gangsterism stuff. But gangsterism hurts our communities because it makes these little kids grow up to think, well, I'm going to be a rapper. I'm going to sell drugs to do the same thing. But you're not Gucci Mane. You're not that 1% who's going to make it.
Yeah.
You can't get out of jail 10 times like him.
That's insane.
It's insane, right? Most people would commit a crime and go to jail for 10 years versus, you know, yeah, he had money and a label pushing him, but they push this out there and it makes our children, because these kids today are social media babies. You know, they're glued to these computers and everything, so they think that all of this stuff is real. And
see, don't y'all have a huge opportunity as a bookstore to say,
that's
like,
what we do.
Yeah, like, yeah, read these books, and this will change your life.
We teach it, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you can't reach everybody. And if they're promoting this gangsterism, it's making everybody money but us. Like, yeah, you know, you're going to commit this crime. You're going to go to jail for 10 years. You're going to sit in prison, make belts for Levi or whoever. You make 10 cents an hour. Levi's a multi-million-dollar company. You know, that's the new slavery. It's messed up. That's all I'm going to say. But I definitely seen it. Even I went to a historically black college. I got a full ride, thank God. But I applied. I had a white homegirl in high school. We wanted to go to school together. We applied to the same schools. I had better grades. I couldn't write that good, but my mom helped me with some of my essays. But she got accepted and got more scholarships than I did. And, you know, my SAT scores were awesome. Like, I had good SAT scores for some reason. But she got accepted.
Yeah, just throw it in my face. Thank you.
Sorry. I didn't take the ACT. But
I made like a 1,500 on my SAT. I don't think I did well there.
Oh, yeah. But
maybe like a 1,200, actually. I think I had an insanely low SAT score.
Even when it comes to jobs, like, I've worked certain jobs with certain people who had lower education than me, but got paid, you know, more than me. So it could be because of race or I'm a woman. But, you know, those things do matter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's messed up. The system is messed up. They might not call it racism now, but they, you know, remix it as something else. but it's still out here.
Yeah.
But Nathan, you are, we, like you said, you are allowed to your opinions, and we have ours.
Yeah, and I'm here to listen. I'm here to have conversations. I think this is what we need. When somebody says something that's shocking and terrible, I'm like, good. They want to talk about it. Like,
so
if somebody wants to talk about it, I'm like, sweet, let's just dive into this, because my thing is that isolation leads to people like their ideology is getting worse. So if they'll have conversations about things, it's a really good thing.
And I also think with the police shootings where y'all were talking about earlier, I'm cool with some cops for DPD. They tell me all the time, like, they get these kids who come out of college who can't get a job, and they're looking for something, so they might apply to be a firefighter or a police officer. But in college, you might have majored in computer engineering or something, right? Like some tech something. And then they throw you into these low-income Black or Hispanic communities, and you've never dealt with a Black or Hispanic person in your life. You know that this area is high in crime. You're low-key scared when a call comes through, and you're out there with maybe your partner or somebody, and somebody does a quick movement. They might run or, something, and you just shoot. So I think a lot of these police officers, they need the training, but a lot of them have no prior interaction with these communities that they're serving in, which is an issue. So that's why you see a lot of, police brutality in our communities.
Well, like you said, it's a lot of lack of training, but I think it's also some type of a lack of, like you say, understanding of Black people as human beings, and that our lives don't matter that much. That you can,
well, there is something that y'all are very communal, and that's proven in studies. So when a Black person gets killed, y'all all feel it, your whole community. If a white person gets killed, no other white person feels it ever. Like, that's just how it is. And so when we see some of these things, we and I know this stuff because me as a Christian, I very much am just trying to be the hands and feet of Jesus and understand, Jesus loves and like, God created everybody. God loves everybody, and so it's my responsibility to love my neighbor, love myself, take care of my family, and so that's kind of where my understanding starts with this stuff. So I've looked and said, okay, but it's because y'all deeply feel when something happens in your community. That's just how Black people are programmed differently than white people. We feel nothing. Like, I see, like, I've watched a white person get run over on a bird scooter, and I was like, idiot. Like we're just not very communal people. Like I have a great relationship with my dad. We talk once a month, maybe for 60 seconds, we're just not very community. And I love community. I love people. I'm very extroverted. And so I don't know, there are just some difference in how we feel things is what the whole point of that.
I think it's more than just a feeling. It's a historical injustice. Is something that, for people to have gone through what we have gone through, you don't forget. It's in your DNA. It's in your memory. So, it's something you don't forget. And we feel that it's just a continuation of what has occurred throughout our history, of a lack of concern or for us, for our lives and our well-being. So we have no choice but to stand up. We've had to fight from day one, and I think it's something we will continue to fight. We will fight to the end for justice, and that's something that we will continue to do, and we've done it since day one, and we will continue to do that.
So when you look at the numbers, most of the time, white people kill white people, Black people kill Black people, and Latino people are killed by other people, other races, but only like 50%. Like, it's that like Black, white just kill their own people, and Latino people are just killed by others. So what would you say is kind of what goes into fixing? So I look at it as like white people, we don't care about other white people. So I'm like, I don't know how we fix white on white crime because like we don't care about other white people. Black people care about other black people. I think that's very noticeable. You're very communal, but there's still this high black on black crime rate. What goes to changing that?
I think right now in our communities, drugs is a big thing. Like, people are popping these, the rappers are promoting popping pills, doing lean, all these different drugs, right?
One time I met Kevin Gates.
Yeah, Waukesha, whatever. But these drugs, they hiding your reactions to things, right? So me and you might have an argument, and normally we might agree to disagree. But now I'm high, and, now I'm going to shoot you. So I really think, these drugs are messing with people's minds, and that's why we have so much violence right now. Poverty.
Where are these drugs coming from? Are they coming from Mexico, or are they coming from pharmaceutical companies?
They're coming from somewhere. Mexico, Colombia, snowfall, the CIA, it's historically, yeah. They put them in our communities. So, I can't tell you where they're getting the drugs directly from because I don't do drugs. But they're coming into our communities. They're cheap, easy to find, available for all ages. You could go to some of these smoke shops and get, different drugs, so it's out there and it's making these kids, it's messing us up.
Well, first, let me say that we definitely don't agree with black folk killing black folk. It is something that it is part of the discussion in our community as to why there is, folks shooting each other, and a lot of it is a lot of confusion, and the conditions that the poverty, as you said earlier, that our communities are in, and this little illusion of this my turf, that's your turf, this little beef that's created out here against different groups within the community, and which is pure silliness because we don't own nothing. This ain't your hood and that ain't your hood. You don't own nothing in the hood. It ain't your hood. So I'm just saying there's little beefs and antagonisms that are created in our community, maybe even not by us, by external forces that want you to shoot each other, right? So I'm saying there's a lot of little gang stuff going on, and it's creating unnecessary violence in our communities. But it's nothing we can't overcome. We're gonna overcome it, no doubt. And also, let me just say that
and you play a core role in overcoming it because you're the education standpoint, and education is how everything's overcome.
It's highlight there. Even though there is a lot of crime, there are less murders in our community now than there have been. The murder rate is lower, and then we don't talk about how other folks, how people are killing, over here. We don't talk about that, but it seems like the media, because we're criminalized, our people are criminalized, they want to focus on the
media is the problem. That's what I'm trying to highlight.
The crime within our community. So it's highlighting, but you don't talk about some of the higher crime areas are not in South Dallas or not in Oak Cliff. They're in North Dallas. So we don't talk about that, but we do talk about the crime in the black communities because that's where, like she says, where the ratings are. And, our people are criminalized because we're black, for one thing. So there is, we are working on trying to just get the truth to people. That's one reason we exist, is to tell people this is not you. These streets are not who you are. Your personality has been hijacked. You're not some little petty gang member. You're not some drug seller. That's not you. Your history, you come from greatness. You've done some of the first mathematicians, scientists. This is not you. So, find out who you are. And once, you know who you are, you'll act differently. You'll stand taller. You won't act like this fool, right? That they want you to act like. So there are things in our communities that we've got to work on, right? But I'm saying that we won't let the media control that narrative for us. We have to control it ourselves. And certain problems within our communities, only we can solve. Nobody else can solve them. We know our problems better than you or the media. We know our problems, so only we can solve it. And we have to get in there and deal with these contradictions that are happening in our communities.
Do you think the church plays a role in this?
Most definitely. The church is one of the strongest foundations within the Black community. African people, when I say African people, I mean Black folks. We are the most spiritual people that you ever want to meet. So if we could harness all that energy that's in our churches on Sundays and put in a bottle and solve our problems, then that's what we can do. But it's going to take more than the church. It's going to take people like us, right? Community folks. It's going to take us to educate people about, our history and our culture and what we need to do to solve our problems, to come together to solve our problems.
Yeah.
So the church is a very important part, but they're not the only part, should I say.
What upcoming events and things do you all have coming up?
Let's see. So
I have a lot of stuff.
July, the third Sunday in July.
Start, if you have a calendar, you're welcome to look it up on the internet or whatever, because this will probably go live at the end of July.
At the end of July?
So think about August forward.
All right. So for August 1st, we're going to be doing a backpack giveaway. It's free and open to the public. You just have to register on Eventbrite. You can search Pan-African Connection backpack. So we are going to get backpacks and school supplies and gift cards and give those away. Then every first and third Sunday of the month, we have our small and local business market where you can come support our vendors. Probably have some festivals. We do yoga every Thursday. So if you want to come down for yoga every Thursday.
It's really called Broga.
To try to get the bros out.
You're not going to like that. It's yoga for brothers.
But it's for all brothers, Mama.
I know. I'm just saying. It's Black men have a historical. They hold a lot of things inside. So there's trauma. There's healing that needs to take place with specifically for Black men that maybe other men don't suffer from. So a lot of our men are suffering from hypertension and high blood pressure and all kinds of things because we don't take the time to do self-care for our bodies. So there's Thursday nights, his sister, she does a class called Broga, and it's and women of course are there too, but it's to encourage Black men to come out and take that time to heal their bodies and minds and spirits. So it's cool.
You got yoga every
Are white
Thursday.
people allowed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That'll go.
We got white folks that come.
We actually have a lot of white people that come,
A lot of white
because
folks.
we treat everybody equally.
We do. First and foremost, we're human beings. There's only one race, and that's the human race. And we are here to treat people like human beings. That's the primary objective for all of us is to live humanity. But let me just say, we do have summer camps. This
is after.
July.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have everything in July. But we have drum circle every Sunday, where it's a community drum circle. Everyone can
awesome!
Come and drum, African drum circle.
Come teach when the baby gets. You having a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Oh yeah, come teach him how to drum when he gets old enough.
Sweet.
But yeah, community drum circle every Sunday at 2:30. It's open for everybody. It's free, donation based. It's a really good vibe. What else do we have? I would just say follow our website and our Instagram page. Our website is panafricanconnection.com. Our Instagram page is PAC_Dallas. Or you can follow us on Facebook, Pan-African Connection. We pretty much post a lot on social media, but we do a lot of random things. So, yeah. But we work with all races. We're not just for Black people. Like she said, the Lake Highlands group, the Lake Highlands Mothers Against Racism, they're a group of, white women. And we love them. We work with them. So, it's not just a Black and white thing. We work with everybody.
Y'all do any after school programs or stuff like that? or have involvement?
We basically have a school at our business every weekend because we have so many classes, chess club,
STEM
math,
programs,
everything.
robotics.
We don't call it school, but it's programming to make sure that our children, get what they need, especially during this COVID time when they were doing virtual school. A lot of our children are definitely needing some extra help to catch up.
We allow children and adults to volunteer.
How do you volunteer? Yeah.
You can just message me on Instagram or Facebook and say volunteer, and I'll ask you what you really want to do, and you can come hang out with us, help us set up different programs, help us put up books. We always need help because we're a small business, family ran, so we do need help, with inventory sometimes or different things like that. We just had a humongous Juneteenth weekend, probably over 4,000 people.
Wow.
It was a lot. It was lit. Like, it was beautiful. But
the word lit.
But we had everybody there, like, volunteering. Like, it was really, you was there? Oh, that's probably where I saw you. Okay. But it was awesome. Like, we do a lot for the community, the surrounding communities. We don't just focus on Oak Cliff. We're, Texas, DFW, the whole, U.S. if we can. We help people everywhere, like to Africa, everywhere.
And we take people to Africa.
Yeah, we do take people to Africa.
To Ghana, mostly. Mm-hmm. Little group trips.
Yeah, I had a chef on that has a coffee company, and he sources from Ghana.
Wow.
Chef Andrew Black out of Oklahoma City.
We shall look him up.
Andrew
Black.
He's from Jamaica. Cool guy.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing is not only the small business market, but the STEM programs we do, because they might not get that in school because, they teach you to take this test or whatever. So these kids get to come and make robots or learn fun ways to learn math at our store and science and stuff like that.
And we have people that come all the way from Frisco just to, and they're not black, but they come for these different programs and activities. So
get cultured.
It's really nice. So
especially around Christmas, Kwanzaa time, we have 7 days of Kwanzaa. So
you know what Kwanzaa is?
No.
So it's pretty much an African American 7-day holiday, where each day represents a different principle. Like the first day, Umoja represents unity. So we do like a program. We always do a children's program and an adult program.
Do you have a chili cook-off every year?
We used to have a collard green cook-off.
If you'll do a chili cook-off, I'll enter.
All right.
And I'll win.
Oh,
Did we have a chili? I don't think we've ever had a chili cook-off, but we did have a...
Did we have a chili cook-off?
We might have. We've had a collard green
not winning that
festival before. So we had a collard green cooking contest, which was really cool. So,
do y'all have any ping pong tables?
No, are you good at
we
that?
We have chess.
That's something I've been trying to get into.
Oh.
If you start a ping pong club, I'll donate the ping pong table.
I think I like that idea. I'm serious because that's some exposure that we try to expose our kids to things that they're not normally exposed to.
Well, that will get you Asians
Hockey.
there. Let me tell you that.
Let's do skateboarding and all that good stuff. So, I mean, I like that idea. So, hey, if you want to donate a ping pong table, we will take
What's
it.
the other game?
Show me where it'll go, and then I'll send one there.
We have space for sure.
That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
All right, if you start it, I'll donate a table.
Okay, we'll have tons of young people come learn how to play ping pong, and it's not an expensive game to play. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like a good paddle is expensive, but you don't really need a good paddle to just be able to volley and
then
learn
they
it.
could like join tournaments and win money, scholarships, stuff like that.
Cool.
They have scholarships for everything nowadays. Like,
True. Not just football and basketball.
yeah.
I mean, that's what we try to do, expose our kids to chess and swimming and
lacrosse.
golf. Yeah.
Man, lacrosse is too intense for me.
It's a good game.
I'm terrified. Lacrosse balls are so heavy. That's what's terrifying about it.
You got to be athletic.
What about soccer?
I like soccer. She played soccer when she was a kid, and golf and tennis and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I had good parents too.
We forced her.
I was forced, but I was grateful. You know, when I got to college and I majored in fisheries biology. I went to a black school, but I was the only black girl in the major because that was
that does sound like a white man major.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Whenever all my internships, it might be like 2 black people on a whole job. So, but learning lacrosse and golf, like when we would go out, at night, or when we would go out on the weekends, I knew how to play those sports to kind of, mingle with everybody at work.
Cat Williams has a joke on that. Cat Williams is one of my favorite comedians. What is his joke? He's talking about the crocodile hunter. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you never see a black man hop on a crocodile like that.
Never.
That's actually what I did.
He's like, that's the most white man thing ever.
I swim with sharks. I catch sharks. Yeah, people think I'm a crazy black girl. Like, I went swimming with the sharks not too long ago. And yeah, I got some crazy comments. So, yeah. But I'm that, I had that exposure. So.
Yeah.
I'll never swim with sharks. But these were sharks they didn't bite. They're nurse sharks.
Kevin Hart's girl, his wife just got bit by the same sharks.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She's had
a rough ride.
I know, right? But yeah, exposure is the key.
Yeah.
I am so thankful for your having us here. I mean, I'm telling you.
Anything on the surface level is a narrative. Mm-hmm. And so I always try to get beyond the surface level. And so when you get beyond the surface level, even if we disagree, at least we know what truth is. Like, I'm just trying to find truth. And so oftentimes I'll find truth that's against a narrative, and I'll share that truth, and people go crazy. And we can see this in all kinds of things. We can see this about saying, like, at one point, Instagram would automatically remove your post if you said the vaccine came from a lab. Like,
it's true.
And now, a year later, it's looking pretty good that it came from a lab. Yeah. Which I said from day one, and I didn't have a clue what I was talking about. I was just like, the way this thing is so different in everybody makes me feel like it has been manipulated. That's all I had to say, because I know somebody, he's got COVID about 10 months ago. He still can't smell anything. Mm-hmm. And then I know people that got it and were like completely fine. And, so I don't know. It's just interesting how it works.
I'm pretty sure I had COVID. I went to Mardi Gras like the month before.
Oh, you definitely got it. I think you just walk into the Mardi Gras and
I came back, and I remember I went to work and I told my boss, I was like, yo, I cannot breathe today. Like, so I went home. I went to the doctor. They made me go to the doctor. And the doctor was like, oh, just go gargle salt water and get some rest. And that's what I did. But for 48 hours straight, I prayed every 30 minutes because I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. But I didn't want to spend that $500.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey. In 2 weeks and I was good.
I'm a guy that got COVID twice.
Ouch. Ouch.
But you weren't in really bad shape.
First time was rough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, first time was rough. But I never quarantined. I told Billy, I was never shocked that I got it.
Right.
I was with a group of 12 other people on a trip, and nobody else got it, including my wife sleeping in the same bed with me. So that's also a thing that's just there's this theory that for some people, they think that some people they're super spreaders. Like one person can be linked to 5,000 and other people can get in, and it's not. So it's super, again, all these weird things about it make you think
it's manipulated.
Yeah. But, would you say that black people are more suspicious than white people?
Of what? Of
everything?
The medical system?
Yeah, just everything.
I mean, I don't call it suspicion. I mean, I do know that...
Because I'm a little bit into conspiracy theories, and all my friends that are into them with me are black.
I don't think so.
I think our people are very conservative in their thinking, to be honest with you. Certain parts of the system, of course, you don't trust, right? Of course, the medical system, you have your distrust because of a lot of things that have happened to us, like the Tuskegee experiment, when they gave us syphilis, right? Knowingly, the government. So that's something you don't trust this medical system, and we didn't. I know growing up, we never went to the doctor unless it was absolutely necessary.
So check this out. Grip same way. I've only been to a doctor one time my whole life. I'm 27 years old. I had a checkup when I was 12. And because my parents were like, oh, well, we can't afford it, Like my parents had insurance, but only in case of an emergency. And so it's like, oh, we can't afford it. So anyway, my wife and I just got insurance that will cover our daughter's visit. So I'm planning to have my first. Now that I'm having a kid, I like start to like care about things. So funny how it is. Like, oh man, like I guess I should have insurance.
I would say like my white friends who like grew up the same way I grew up, like maybe not so much money. We kind of agree on most of the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Versus my like rich white friends, like they don't believe in none of that.
Yeah,
it's like
same.
Yeah, our people are very conservative in thinking. You know, as far as even like, I mean, they don't really. I mean, they don't. Well, it's just a lot of things. As far as racism is concerned, I mean, I don't think we have conspiracy theories. I think that this comes from experience. But overall, I think we're very conservative in our thinking.
What do you think the next 10 years looks like for you guys for the business? Like, what would you like to see accomplished during the next 10 years in the business?
Well, for one, I'd like to see us own our own building and our own space on land where we can, host festivals and do whatever we want to do in our own space.
And are you working on that now?
Yep, I am. It's definitely on the table to own our own space and stop paying rent. I could have bought a building and paying all this rent over the years, but yeah. So having our own space where we can do more, without restrictions. So
okay, 10 years though. That's one thing. Building. What do you want to see? Program-wise, people-wise, direction-wise, like what would you really like? Is it just doing the same things you're doing now, or do you want to see multiple locations? Do you want to see?
I mean, I think multiple locations.
Yeah, Houston.
Plus, to build in Africa where we can create factories and things like that, so that we can create jobs there, where we can, get things made, send them here. So, help develop the African economy also. And maybe even some factories here where we can create jobs for the people in the community. So it really is for us to help develop this community with jobs and opportunities and, things like that, I think.
Whatever happened? Do you remember, Will I Am from Black Eyed Peas? He was starting a car factory. Did anything ever happen with that?
Was that in Haiti? Was he going to do something? Oh, here in
the States. He was starting a car factory.
Never heard
I haven't
of it.
heard anything.
Well,
that would be cool though, because we need factories, we need jobs, and not so many more churches and things like that, but we need jobs and factories so people can have places to make a living wage where they can take care of their families.
lowest unemployment in the history of black people under Trump.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow, I
That's
sure
what's
didn't
up.
see it.
Good.
I'm just saying, it's like, say what you want, but that is the lowest. I mean, if you're wondering why he accomplished the black vote,
I mean, what kind of jobs though were there? I don't know.
But yeah, lowest black.
Service
it
industry,
was lowest black unemployment rate in U.S. history under Trump.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up because I wonder what type of jobs those were.
I know they said that. I mean, it's cool. That's good.
Well, there's service industry jobs where people could still take care of your family.
Yeah,
probably not.
Who knows? I think there is, whether you like Trump or not, there is this idea that too much stuff is outsourced to China, and he was giving major incentives for factories to be built in the U.S. and to make things in the U.S. and to employ in the U.S., and that naturally is going to lead to a lower rate and more stable economy and everything else.
I mean, like I said, that's cool. That's good. I mean, that's what we want to hear, No matter who's the president, you don't want, your people unemployed. So
exactly.
Hey, he needs to pass it down to the new people, like how to get the same thing.
Hey, that's one good thing. Yeah.
Hey, there's different political beliefs that I won't dive into.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody has their good and bad. So,
well, like I said, Trump had a lot of black supporters. So I don't know how, but he did. I'll never understand it, but yeah, he did.
Hey, I sit there and I think the same thing about black people that supported Biden. So I think there's both sides.
It is
For sure.
You know, like there's videos of him calling black people the N-word on Senate floor. You know, like
Hey, I agree.
so it's
Did he do that?
yeah, he's kind of
Wait. He
But
actually said that.
I can send you clips. Yeah.
On camera, I ain't gonna say nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
He
He's delusional.
well he's the only, well this is like early days. So if you look at like some of his mentors, they were like leaders in the KKK.
Right.
You know, another thing that Trump was the first president in history to label the KKK a terrorist organization.
you're kidding.
No, there's like these little unknown facts that like people think like, oh, Trump's followers are KKK supporters, and then you see these things. So there's all these just random things that, again, if the media doesn't just shoot it.
I always felt that the level of I felt like the KKK was running our government when Trump was in office. I really felt that.
And I think
tension.
I think that was promoted by the media because I think the media wants to divide.